Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. Register for a chance to win today. KFAN.com/furnace. KFAN.com/furnace.
Welcome back to Shields. Why are we at Shields? Because it's our Toys for Tots broadcast, brought to you by our friends with the soon-to-be Big Game World Champion Minnesota Vikings, the United States Marine Corps, Shields, Unreal, and all of us here at the Fan, and making another plea to you. This show has a reputation of its listeners donating to whatever cause it is that we are trying to raise money, or whatever the case may be, or even awareness. I want you to be aware that we're here at Shields and we need toys. We need lots of them. Minnesota Golf Association rose to the occasion. They brought not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 sets of golf clubs.
Yes.
And those will be under the tree for some happy girl or boy. So we thank the Minnesota Golf Association, one of our fine sponsors. They help sponsor us on Tee to Green, and we appreciate that. Golf Day Minnesota coming up again. More on that. That'll be in June or July. It's June, right? Be early June, so we'll tell you more about that. We'll tell you where the course is going to be and all that. Golf Day Minnesota is a great thing, sort of patterned after your favorite day.
Hockey Day Minnesota.
Hockey Day.
It's got to be coming up here in
Minnesota.
about a month and a half.
That is correct. So stop by Shields sometime between now and 6:30, and please donate a toy. We could really use it. Cash, checks, money order, whatever the case may be. Just no stolen goods, because then we get in trouble. They trace it, and then all of a sudden we're in trouble. Mark Rosen, the legendary one, joins us here.
Hi.
He's donating to Toys for Tots. He's going to put himself in the bin. They're going to wrap him up, and on Christmas morning, Santa's going to put you under somebody's tree, and you're going to entertain the kids for like 90 minutes.
I'm looking forward to that. I thought that'd be a good idea. Why not?
Let's hear it for the legendary one, Mark Rosen.
Everybody, got some nice folks from St. Louis Park just a few minutes ago, my hometown.
Very good.
Are you from there?
Did you hear that?
Oh, I did not.
St. Louis Park. There's a lot of legendary people from St. Louis Park.
Too many to mention. Mention them all.
Tom Friedman, Cohen Brothers.
Cohen Brothers.
Who else?
Well, I mean...
You. There's...
Jeff Diamond.
Yes, Jeff Diamond.
Jeff Passelt.
Wow.
Ding.
My goodness.
A list of legendary people.
Well, there was something in the water, all right.
Well, I'm from Detroit, and I got a long list.
Oh, I know you do.
How about you sent me...
Oh.
You said to me, has anybody heard this story? Rosen sends me a text that says, Lem Barney, dead at 80. Now, right. Lem Barney, legendary defensive back for the Detroit Lions. I have 3 sporting heroes: Lem Barney, Al Kaline, and Scotty Ledoux.
Right.
And so Lem Barney does, and I'm like, and I look up the stories and I search it, and I see him, and they're reporting on it. But 3-4 hours later, the story breaks. Lem Barney's not dead. Rumors of his demise.
There's been a bunch of those lately online.
Sadly, Carl Eller had to respond, and I hadn't even seen that.
I didn't see that one.
Carl said, "Oh, I'm alive and well." You know, the sickness that people have to post things like that about individuals. And this was not some kind of like crackpot thing. Usually you try to get it verified.
Right.
So you don't fall for that. But it was Barney and Carl Eller, and there was one other, Steve Tasker.
Yes.
I think was the other one. So, I mean, that's hilarious stuff.
Yeah.
And so, when I saw, Lem Barney's of that age.
Well, sure. It was believable.
And I was. And I thought, that's sad. And then, then Pro Football Talk had reposted it.
Yep.
That's Florio's site. So thinking, oh, man, this is right on. And then literally like a half hour later, like you said, thankfully, Lem Barney's alive and well. So you got to be careful. It's another lesson for everybody to be careful what you read on the nonsense that we see on social media.
It's been reported that my career has died, and that's true. I mean, there's...
we can verify that.
We can verify it.
Well, that was about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. 20, where'd you get the last 10? Crying out loud.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since the long Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, and here's what I wanted to ask you. I just happened to get a gander at Vikings game day.
Oh, okay.
That you're part of.
Yeah.
And on Sink or Sail.
Right.
When they said 20 points and you said Sale, did you think that was for one game or 2 games? I wasn't, or 3. I wasn't sure because they ended up getting Zippo.
It was a multiple choice question.
Yes.
I think it was. That was the first one?
That was the first one, and you thought they'd get 20 points.
I thought they would. That was a reach.
Yeah.
Seattle barely got 20 points. I mean, it was that day we can talk about it all day long, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's a tale of two units. The offense did nothing. Brosmer struggled mightily. Defense played really well. They really did. I mean, they ended up giving up 19. Well, if you take 19 points because you take away the extra point.
Well, even that doesn't even count.
I think
one of the field goals, field position stuff. Yeah.
So they played as well as you could against an offense coming into that game, which was probably as good as any in the National Football League.
I think Brian Flores gave the blueprint again to future opponents, potentially playoff opponents, how to get to Sam Darnold. It was almost reminiscent of the Rams playoff game. He was rattled. I mean, your guest Blake Cashman and a number of others, Grenard, they were after him the entire afternoon. He was, and that's why I wanted them to kick the field goal when it was 4th and 1. They just let your defense on the field because they're going to produce more points, I think. But yeah, it reminded me of the Rams game, and it's kind of a warning shot. Listen, I love Sam Darnold. He did a lot of great things here last year, but I think what we saw in that game was exactly what he saw in the Rams playoff game, and the offensive line just got bowled over. And Seattle probably has a better offensive line than what the Vikings presented last year in playoff time. But it's another reminder that it's also the quality of your opposition that you play. And the Vikings defense was dialed in, and that's why I wanted him to keep playing, much the way that they went after Jared Goff in that game. So that was the good news. The rest of it, the story what happened.
Going into the game, I think the story most people were interested in, the A topic, would have been how will Brosmer do?
Right.
And I had said that it was just gut feeling. I don't know. I don't watch him in practice. I just said I get the feeling. I think he's just going to play well. I didn't expect him to be brilliant and complete 75% of his passes and 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. I thought he'd play well, and he actually, early on, when they gave him the screen passes, short passes, wasn't so bad. A couple of drops hurt him, but then the underhanded throw, instead of taking the sack, he just panicked, and you understand, you don't want to take a sack there because it's 4th down, but you have to take a sack there because that completely changed the complexion of the game. It goes from 3-0, like you say, you could have tied the game. But even if you don't get it, I know what KOC is thinking. We're
95 yards.
We're going to have him at the 5-yard line. He throws the pick 6, and that pretty much just basically you could just feel the momentum go over to Seattle's side of the football. It wasn't over at that point, but it was not. We knew points would be at a premium for the purple, and it seemed like even that was going to be enough.
And it wasn't just with Max Brosmer. We've seen it pretty much all season long, with the exception of maybe the Lions game. A couple others as well. Where
Bengals game.
The Bengals. Well, that was they had a whole bunch of turnovers in that one. But going back to the Atlanta game here, when the Vikings get behind and trying to rally, they're so challenged offensively. You watch some of these other teams, and they make every 15, 20-yard completion look like it's commonplace. And the Vikings are just incapable of doing that right now, and that's what we have to see a semblance of these last number of games that they have left, because that's the only way that they're going to have some momentum built going into next year with McCarthy back in there, and that's the problem. Down even after giving up the touchdown, they're down 10-0.
Yep.
A lot of teams are going, big deal. We'll come back from that. It's not an insurmountable lead. We're down by 10 points, but for the Vikings, it may as well have been 50-0 because they just could not move the ball. We know the paltry statistics that they had, and then Brosmer looked rattled. Seattle was able to kind of dial in defensively.
Darisaw's not playing. The center ends up leaving the game. But
it's been like that for more than that game, and that's the problem. Moving forward, and the frustrations that the Jefferson and Addison, and they had a couple drops too. Let's not forget that. They did drop the ball a couple times. It wasn't just all
Addison and Jefferson both dropped catchable balls. Yeah,
they did. They did. I'm not saying I would have turned the game around, but they dropped the ball a couple times.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got plenty more to get to. We're here at Shields. I got several other things I'm going to talk to Mark about. So we're at Shields for our Toys for Tots drive. Please stop by sometime today between now and 6:30 and drop off an unwrapped toy for a girl or a boy. And we even need teenage gifts too. So if you have something like maybe a watch or something you want to give, that would be cool too. We take cash and checks as well. Shields in Eden Prairie is the site of our broadcast. Toys for Tots, brought to you by our friends at the Minnesota Vikings, United States Marine Corps, Shields, and, of course, Unreal. And, by the way, High B has been helping us, keeping us fueled all day long here at Shields. You'll find daily deals and the lowest prices around. You can score sweet savings at HyBeeDeals.com. Stack up for the game this week. Get all your deals delivered to your home through Hy-Bee's aisles online and shipped to home. That's Hy-Bee. We'll take a break, come back with more here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Experience world-class hockey in Minnesota. The 2026 IIHF World Junior Showcase showcases the future stars of the game in an unforgettable tournament. Secure your seats now, mnsportsandevents.org. Be part of hockey history, mnsportsandevents.org.
We are here in Eden Prairie at the Shields, Minnesota's largest all-sports store. Eden Prairie has everything from the Eden Prairie Shields has everything from the Ferris wheel, a 16,000-gallon fish tank, 2 lanes of bowling, and even an animatronic statue of Johnny Randall. Stop on by today as we broadcast live until 6:30. Please bring by unwrapped toy for a girl and boy and drop it off here for us. We would sincerely appreciate that. We'll get back to the Vikings, but I wanted to ask you, Minnesota Golden Gophers close out the regular season against hated and arch rival Wisconsin at the bank, and they get the Axe back in a Snow Bowl game, 17-7. A win's a win. I know that, the defense played better and they had some timely plays, but that kind of a field kind of led you to going to be a low-scoring game, I think. Anyways, I do know one thing. However it happened, it was a vast improvement for a defense who had given up 1,500 yards over the past 5 games.
Yeah, kind of a methodical win. And look, anytime you beat the Badgers and you keep the Axe, it's a good day. The crowd, the fans had a great time in the snow. I mean, it was one of those days that, we don't get here all that often because, U.S. Bank is indoors. And so those days of many, many years ago, if you're old enough to remember Met Stadium and even Memorial Stadium, it was they'd have a few of those games. Of course, the college season ends pretty much before the real snow begins. So, the Gophers, Darius Taylor had a nice run, and they're able to finish off an unbeaten season at home. So that's a feather in their cap. Now they have to wait for their bowl opponent and the date they're going to play in. At least they won't be going to Detroit the way it sounds. So I'm not saying that's a plus, but the bigger issue.
What do you got against Detroit?
Nothing really. Detroit's actually a great city right now. They've made some amazing improvements. But the bigger issue, the bigger story is tomorrow's signing day. And with all, and I heard PJ the other day talking about, imagine sitting down with your players now going, okay, what's it going to take to keep you? We got you here. You played here. What's the price now? Do we have to increase the ante and the nil money to keep their quarterback, to keep their top receivers or alignment, whatever the case may be? And every college coach in the country has to deal with this right now. And so I think the signing day is more of a, official. You don't have to worry about guys, reneging on their verbal commitments. So, the Gophers on paper supposedly have their best recruiting class. We've heard this before in quite a few years. It doesn't suggest to say that that's going to mean next year they're going to move up to the upper echelon. When you look at Indiana playing Ohio State this week for the Big Ten Championship, and obviously both those teams are going on in the college football playoffs, that's a whole nother level of college football that the Gophers aren't in right now, or even come close to, with Oregon and even Michigan's better. Penn State's had a down year, but those two teams in particular. But you got to keep moving the needle, trying to, PJ's 9 years now. And you'd like to see them, they had such an abysmal year on the road, not even really
6-0 at home, 5-0 on the road, or 0-5.
Yeah, not really even being competitive in many of those games on the road either. Obviously, they played the level of competition was a lot tougher on the road than at home. So, It's just kind of, I'm going to say it's a kind of a typical Minnesota Gopher football year. I'm not taking anything away from the good times that the fans had, the players enjoyed getting the axe back. So I'm not going to throw cold water on that. Anytime you beat Wisconsin, it's a good day for the Gophers in any sport, in particular football. So that's it. You accept for what it is, and you move on and hope for better days.
It is interesting that for the longest time, our conversations around the Gophers were, we just want to be at the point where we're at like the Wisconsin and Iowa level.
Right.
And we'd be happy with that. And now 4 out of the last 5 years, they've taken down Wisconsin. They've beaten them 2 years in a row. Now, Iowa's another story. They haven't been able to topple them. But we've gotten there at Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's maybe come back to us more than we've gone to them.
I agree.
But still, it still doesn't feel as fulfilling as maybe we once thought.
No, and the Iowa loss this year, when they just got blasted on national television, to me, was one that really has to stick in their craw, because I thought the Gophers would be competitive in that game, and it was, a national TV nightmare for them. They just were never in it. I can't remember I'm talking about kind of like what a Viking-like offensive performance against Seattle, and that we've seen the last couple of weeks against Green Bay. It was that way for the Gophers against Iowa. I don't remember a positive play that you could take away from that game, and that's a whole lot different than losing a close one at the end or being competitive, like I'm sure CBS thought they would be, and that hurt, because Iowa's got a good team. I wouldn't call it Kirk Ferentz has been there forever, longest tenured coach I think in college football, but Minnesota wasn't even competitive, and that's not good at all, as we know.
Yesterday we talked about some of the quotes from PJ after the game. Mm-hmm. He said, give me 1 second, because this is the one he says. He said, this is a really good football team that's earned the right to play in a really good bowl game, whatever that looks like. And, I made the comment yesterday, I don't know if really good, with the way the team, when you look at the wins and the losses and everything, if you could call them a really good team. I got an email from Craig at 1:59 yesterday afternoon. Says, Common, good afternoon. I agree with you. The Gophers are not a good football team. I believe this is what you said. Then let the numbers bear it out. Now listen to these numbers. In 7 wins this season, the opposing teams the Gophers played at a combined record of 28 and 56. 28 and 56. In those 7 wins, only one team had a winning record, and that was a bad Nebraska team. The other 6 teams weren't even close to 500. In 5 losses, the opposing teams the Gophers played at a combined 44 and 16 record. In those 5 losses, they were outscored 190 to 68, average score 38-14. In games versus Ohio State, Iowa, and Oregon, 31-5 combined record, they were outscored 125 to 19, which is a 42-6 average score. Now, he goes on to say the team has not improved at all under Fleck. They beat teams they should. They lose to teams they should. They get invited to a second or third tier bowl game and people get excited. Are the standards that low? I think the nil money, the program is what it is. They will not be able to compete with the traditional powerhouses. It just doesn't compute. Why do people think the program has turned around? And you can say it's better now under Fleck than it was in the past, or however you want to call it. But those numbers are numbers. They are glaring. They are getting crushed by really good teams and beating really bad teams, and that doesn't, I'm sorry, it doesn't do a lot for me.
Well, and it's probably not going to change a whole heck of a lot. I mean, until they can become the next tier. When other teams are striving to become the next Indiana Hoosier football team, which has been lousy in the sport for the most part for decades, and managed to turn it around in a couple of years with a combination of a lot of things, probably a lot of money as well. Until that happens, I mean, you just cannot compete against those teams. And I don't know if people are getting all excited. I mean, I would say a really good bowl game, it's better than playing I don't know if it's the Motor City Bowl or the Carr-Meineke Bowl, whatever. They're going to play in a decent game against a decent team, and they're going to play in their weight class probably. And the Gophers have had success, PJ has, in those bowl games. But I wouldn't say, I don't know what the emailer said, that people are going crazy over this or think that they've made big strides this year. You know, those stats don't lie. They aren't ready to compete on the road, in particular against the better teams. They had some success a year ago, did they not? And they went out on the West Coast and with Southern Cal, UCLA.
Yeah.
But they haven't been able to compete, and they're not going to compete against Nike and Oregon, and they're not going to compete against Ohio State. They're not going to compete against right now, and I assume maybe Indiana will be on their schedule next year. Should we expect them to? Yeah, it would be nice, but right now in particular, it was like for years and years and years, the Gophers just couldn't recruit against those teams. Now it's a matter of how deep are your pockets to try to get those.
Now it's recruiting and nil money.
And transfer portal and getting players in that, one or two guys that potentially could turn your defense around. And it's just so hard to kind of wrap your mind around what goes on behind the scenes. Just because we have a bunch of Fortune 500 companies in town, the people who potentially could be contributing to the Gopher program, they may have gone to college at Ohio State or Michigan, and they're going to, if they have money, excessive money.
Good point.
They're going to put it towards that team. They're not going to put it towards the Gophers. They don't have any allegiance to the good old U of M. So I'm not just saying it's all money.
But it's becoming more and more every day.
It's
more
just
about the money.
It's hard. I mean, look what happened with Lane Kiffin. What a joke this was this weekend. We've seen situations like that before where he's telling his coaching staff he wanted to coach the bowl game. Are you out of your mind?
I would have let him
hit the road, Jack, and don't come back. And you're telling your coaching staff, you better get on the bus to LSU. I'm going as if that was going to be a surprise that he was going to go to LSU.
I think I'm in the vast minority because Tenneby agrees with you. You want to coach the last game, sorry, you're out. If I'm the athletic director, I'm saying, yeah, for what you've built here, let's try to finish this off. Tenneby, his point is well taken that maybe the new coach goes, oh, he didn't believe in you, and use that as a rallying cry. I'd have let him coach it out. I know I'm in the vast minority, but I would have let him coach it out because he is, by all accounts, a hell of a coach. And if he's got that team to 11-1, I think I probably would have let him coach. But
he's a hell of a coach, and he's a jackass.
Well, you can say that too.
Yeah.
I'm a hell of a talk show. No, I'm not a jackass, and I'm not a very good talk.
I love Lane's father more than anything. Amani was one of the greatest coaches and human beings I've ever been around. I don't know what happened to his kid.
Let's take a break. Come back. One more segment to go. Live from Shields Toys for Tots Drive. Please stop by and bring by a toy for a girl and boy. Toys for Tots is brought to you by the Minnesota Vikings, United States Marine Corps, Shields, Unreal, and all of us here at the Fan.
App.
Wolves fans, join KFAN and Michelob Ultra for a Wolves watch party. B52 Burgers and Brew in Lakeville this Thursday, December 4th. Max Fuller on site, 7 to 9 p.m. Plus prizes like an Anthony Edwards jersey. Plus enjoy food and drink specials while you watch the game. KFAN.com, keyword calendar. KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Brett Blakemore, let me ask you a question.
Yes?
What's the name of the place again?
B52 Burgers and Brew, Lakeville.
And what day and what time will that be? I like to be prepared.
Always. That's December 4th, 7 to 9 p.m.
Very good. That's Brett Blakemore back at our studios at the 1600 Utica Avenue South. This is our last segment of the day and of the year from Shields in Eden Prairie. It's for Toys for Tots, brought to you by the Minnesota Vikings, Shields, United States Marine Corps, Unreal Apparel, and all of us here at the Fan. So you still got between now and the end of Bumper to Bumper at 6:30 to bring by a unwrapped toy for a girl and boy, and we would certainly appreciate that. I'm Common, he's Tenneby, legendary Mark Rosen here. And how about your Wolves club? Winning some games, they're not taking time off, they don't fall behind or get a big lead and blow it. Is it 2 games they've won since we last talked, or 3? 2 or 3? 2.
They beat Boston, then they came back and beat San Antonio minus Wemby. They rallied in that game and I think played their best quarter of basketball all season.
With a small ball.
The small ball in the fourth quarter. They were moving the ball crisply and they played well on defense. The transition game was looking good, and it was all kind of falling into place. So they had nice back-to-back wins. Now they're playing. Tonight they're playing one of the worst teams in basketball. I think a 3-win Pelicans team. They're in front of probably the beer salesman and a couple concessionaires in New Orleans, where that team is. I remember they were going to move. Minnesota was going to move to New Orleans. I remember when all that stuff went down.
Bob Arum and Top Rank.
Yep, correct.
I still have a T-shirt. Somebody made commemorative T-shirts. I think they're collector's items now. I still have mine, where they had a picture that they superimposed. You know, they made it for the front of the T-shirt.
Right.
Was the front page of the Times-Picayune that said, "We got them," because they thought they had them. Everybody did. It looked like they had bought that Top Rank had the Wolves, and then I don't remember what happened. If the NBA.
They stepped in.
They stepped in, right?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
And then, of course, Glenn Taylor also stepped in. But WCCO sent me down to New Orleans to cover that story down there. The two one I remember, the T-shirt story you remember, and then the Tom Clancy when he held up the paper like I got it too.
Yep.
New owner of the Minnesota Vikings, and I always remember saying to myself, how much fun would that have been if Tom Clancy would have owned the Vikings? I mean, he came into our studios. And of course, even at that point, there was no smoking anywhere in the building or anywhere. And he just lit up a cigarette.
Well, he's Tom Clancy.
Yeah, he's Tom Clancy. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And then they found out apparently there was a divorce settlement along the way that was costing a few more dollars than he could afford to buy the Minnesota Vikings. But for a brief moment, I thought, man, this is going to be a riot. Tom Clancy.
There were several suitors for the Vikings. We had a couple of others. I can't remember their names now, but weren't there?
Yeah, there were.
Where was God? Who was the other guy?
Famous guy? Or?
Oh well, yeah, I don't remember now. There was. I'll look while you talk.
Okay.
So what do you think of the Wolves? I mean, they played they went small ball, I guess, because Wembanyama wasn't in. So Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, wasn't there.
Well, I mean, they also had to make an adjustment, not so much because Wemby wasn't there, but they also had to make an adjustment because San Antonio was beating them at their own game.
Right.
And they had to make adjustments and credit Chris Finch with identifying that. And, you're getting some more contributions on Terrence Shannon. He was hurt for quite a while. Ant's going to put up his 30 plus every game now. I mean, he's almost like running the point, but he was off the floor for a little bit in that fourth quarter, which is unusual. Not the beginning of it, and not the end of it, but he came back in. But, I mean, I think we're so used to the Wolves as kind of putting the pedal down late in the year. They always have a couple losses like, potentially they could have tonight against New Orleans, against maddening kind of losses. They've already had a couple of those where they've blown leads late on the road before this, but I'd like to see them string together some real quality wins, or even against the also-rans. You just got to keep going to try to get in that upper echelon because, right now, of course, it's OKC and the rest. The Lakers lost last night. LeBron, I guess, had a terrible game. But Denver looking good. Houston looking good. Phoenix, there's some very, very good teams. None of that's going to change this year, barring any catastrophic injuries. And San Antonio, when Wemby gets back, will also be a big threat. So the Wolves have to kind of keep up. Whether or not they'll end up making a move before the trading deadline remains to be seen. I don't see them making a major move, but I wouldn't put anything past Tim Connolly. But yeah, that was again the most impressive 8-9 minutes of basketball that I've seen him play this year at home the other night.
AI overview. Several people in groups have attempted to buy the Minnesota Vikings, include author Tom Clancy, who made a failed bid in 98, businessman Reggie Fowler.
Oh, God, yes.
Who was attempted in 2005, was ultimately unsuccessful as he lacked sufficient capital. That's a problem. Other individuals involved in bids included Roger Hedrick, Carl Pohlad, Ed Snyder, and Red McCombs, who ultimately sold the team to the current owners, the Will family. So Reggie Fowler was the name I was thinking.
Reggie Fowler was the guy. Yeah, there were a bunch that the gang of whatever that tried to get in on that. But that was Red was a character, but he didn't want to spend any money.
I think you're going to be going down to St. Paul a little more than you thought you were going to. This Wild club is they're the best team in hockey right now, and you can't argue it. What are they, 11-1-1? They're
I don't know if I call them the best team in hockey, but they've been on. Colorado's lost once in regulation all season.
Right.
Well, let's see. We played the Lanch how many times this year?
One time.
And what was the result of that game?
We beat them in a shootout.
Oh, okay.
So that's a tie game, basically. And winning in a shootout. That's good. You can't.
The negativity from the left and the right
No,
of me.
not
I mean,
negative.
it's like.
It's just identifying the fact.
Yeah, a little negatrometer.
By saying, a team that is historically good, that there hasn't been a team in 40 years to get off the start Colorado Avalanche, and by saying that they're better currently in the Minnesota Wild, I'm negative.
Yeah, that's not negative.
I think so. What do you guys think? Yeah? Negative.
They got wild sweatshirts on, and they should be happy. And they get hopefully going to get even a little healthier. But now tonight they're playing Connor McDavid
Is overrated.
So that's on tonight. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I mean, they are. I mean, I was driving home from our little Thanksgiving trip on Friday afternoon. I had the game on for a little bit, but
you were so far in the world. Did I hear that you actually chopped the head off the turkey and
I did.
and plucked the feathers from it?
Yeah, we were so far down southwestern Minnesota in Westbrook. Had a great time. Karen's dad's 90th birthday party, but we
90.
We headed back right afterwards because we were going to spend the night, but the weather being what it was, made the right decision to get out of Dodge before the snow really hit. But yeah, we had.
Well, you weren't in Dodge. You were in.
We were in Westbrook.
Yeah. Which is kind of like Dodge, just
Westbrook.
west of Dodge.
Yeah, just the salt of the earth, people. Just had a great time. Oh man, it was so much fun. You can have all those fancy little get-togethers you go to. I'd take that 10 out of 10 times. Just a lot of fun, a lot of great people down there.
So we always do this all the time. 10 people do it at 5-3-4 every once in a while. I'll say, which Minnesota major men's four sports team has the best chance, as we speak, to win a league championship? You would have to say the Minnesota Wild because it ain't going to be the Vikings.
Ain't
going to
be
be
the
Twins. I guess the Wolves, because they've been.
I'd go with the Wolves.
You would? I'd go Wild. What's wrong with the Jolly Green Giant?
That's not negativity towards the Wild. That's positivity towards the Wolves. The Wolves have been in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. They've got arguably a top 5 player in the league.
Well, so do the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that? They got two, not one. They got
maybe the best goalie in the history of the league.
Well, that's the one thing you would say. Right now, they have the best goalie in the NHL right now.
That's all it takes. Get hot next spring. It's fun though. I mean, good for them. And you got the junior tournament coming here at the end of the month, and that's going to be a lot of fun. To see some of the best young players in the world here, except for the ones in Russia. But it's a good time. It's a great time, and the Wild deserve all the credit. They're packing the place, and they got a little road trip right now, but they're fun to watch. And you get that kind of goaltending, you got to give yourself a chance. And look at the standings. We talk about it all the time because of the point system. 3 points separate 6-7 teams, and that's probably not going to change most of the year. You just got to be in the mix, play hopefully your best hockey next spring, because that's really what people are going to judge. Ultimately, of course, judge this team by and the Timberwolves by. Not what they're doing in December, but what they're doing in April and May, hopefully.
Gopher men's basketball.
Yeah, lost another player, I heard.
Yeah, and again, they've had some good moments, but they've had more mediocre moments and good moments. It's going to be a while. You always hope right away that, because it is basketball, 5-6 players, bring a couple of guys in, maybe it changes it up a little bit, but I think his first year, so I'm not calling for Medved's head yet. Not yet. Maybe next week. But it might be a little longer, I think we all hoped. You kind of want to, we're all impatient, and it still could be better, but it seems like they're.
Again, whether you're talking about Minnesota football or Minnesota basketball, you're going in the blue bloods in Big Ten basketball. You pretty much is always it's kind of the same. It's Michigan State, it's Purdue, Michigan at times, and they throw in a few other teams that they get in the mix. But Minnesota doesn't get in that conversation. And again, I don't know what the nil money, but you're right. Sometimes it could take one player that could turn a whole program around in basketball. And and Nico's trying to do his best to make sure that. And we have some damn good players in the high school league, high school Minnesota. We have had, as we know, most of them unfortunately haven't stayed here, and they go elsewhere. And that's the key to future success, to keep as many of those guys as possible, at least a couple of them, staying in Minnesota, to convince them that the money's right. Hate to say it, but that's the truth. The money's right, and the program is headed in the right direction under Nico Medved.
Gophers women's team destroyed Samford, not Stanford.
Samford.
No, Samford.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, Samford and Son.
Right.
Destroyed them, and they're 6-2 now.
Yeah,
and they're an interesting club.
I'm watching.
I'm sorry. I know this is wrong of me. I can't pronounce the name of the
coach.
The coach, Pluskowitz.
That's close enough.
Can you? Anybody help me?
I think
where's Garzi?
The ending, I think, is correct.
Let's go with Don.
Yeah, Don. Mara Brown.
Coach Don.
I kind of like what Coach Don is doing with this club. I really do. I think and obviously you can get a much more forthright and educated opinion from from JG because he's the play-by-play guy.
Correct.
Play-by-play boys. But yeah, they this seems like one of those. You always wonder, did we hire the right person? Did we hire the right person? It seems so far so good. I mean, they've not won a natty or anything, but I like.
No, but you got to go back to the it's been a long haul between Janelle McCarville, Lindsey Whalen,
Correct.
and the rest of that team, that Final Four team, and where we are today. But yeah, that's what you hope that they're heading in that right direction. And again, it's all about the recruiting and like the boys players. There's some really good high school girls players in this state, and that's the key thing for Dawn as well to try to.
Well,
as they say,
she's going to Kentucky though.
I know, unfortunately.
Who?
Greenway.
Chad Greenway's kid.
Yeah. Greenway's
Going to
daughter.
Kentucky.
What a traitor! How come she didn't go to Iowa? I wonder how much.
Following Caitlin Clark's footsteps. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's plus her dad's footsteps. But yeah, Matt, she's the best, far and away. She's the best player in the state.
By the way, when you see yellow,
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark.
I see those
Iowa.
balloons
Yeah.
over there, and I think of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Right.
I always love that one.
First thing.
Exactly. Twins made the trade yet?
What the hell? No, I don't think they have.
My goodness.
Vikings made a move.
What'd they do?
They just waived quarterback Desmond Ritter, which would mean J.J.
no.
McCarthy is healthy and good to go.
Yeah,
that's what that means.
Yeah.
They got to make sure J.J. McCarthy's good to go for the rest of the season. That's their chance of moving the needle a little bit and getting the kid as many reps as possible going into the offseason when they'll sign another quarterback to back him up. What's his name? Davis, Miles, whatever, they'll go after somebody to back him up next year.
How much patience are you supposed to have, though? What do you think? Another game rest of this year, all of next year, part of next year?
Well,
I know a lot of it depends upon the progress, but what if if he plays like this the rest of the season, I don't even know how you can go into next year playing him.
Well, I think that would be a concern if he plays like this the rest of the season, given the fact that, starting this week, Washington was in the NFC Championship game a year ago. Look where they are now again. And they almost
beat Denver.
They almost did. They're playing hard.
That's the thing. All these teams, except maybe the very, who's 1-13, and then the Giants. Even the Giants are in football games most of the time. They weren't yesterday,
No.
but. So,
to answer your question, yeah, it's the rest of this year. He's got to stay healthy, number one, and he's trying to get more productive the rest of this year. And next year, he's going to be. They've staked their claim to this guy being, the future. But you have to have someone. I'm saying an upgrade from Carson Wentz, to convince that to come in and be in that role. Not so much that
As competition or a backup?
As a backup.
Okay.
As a backup. I think
You're ready to go with J.J. McCarthy game one next year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think.
Don't know if I'd say absolutely.
Well, I think I'm saying it's 100%. But I think you have to.
What if Aaron Rodgers is available?
what if Aaron Rodgers is available?
Aaron Rodgers? I don't know.
Didn't he just sign a 1-year deal with Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I don't know.
How about
He's not exactly leading the Steelers to the promise.
How about if Carson Wentz learns to throw with his left arm? Would you sign him? Because his right seems to be shot.
Yeah. I don't listen. We all know that JJ's got a lot of.
Was it?
work to
Oh,
do.
was it left?
Yeah, it was his left.
Yeah.
But I look at it this way. We remember the end of last year, the Vikings went 14-3. Darnold was awful against Detroit, and that wasn't the offensive line in that game. He was terrible. Then he got beat up by the Rams in the playoff game, and we're all left going, what was that season about? That was discouraging as could be to end the season that
We were
way.
one game away from the number one seed, home field advantage
I know.
for the playoffs.
And he picked that game to have the worst game of the year, and it wasn't close.
So
Is that the real? Will the real Sam Darnold stand up? And we saw what the Vikings did to him on Sunday. I'm not throwing cold water in Darnold's face.
Well, how can he?
He's had a lot of success.
A lot of quarterbacks have had bad games.
Of course they have.
Now, if this becomes a habit, we'll see what happens the rest of this season
I'm not
goes by.
suggesting
They're
that's
going to
the
make the
reason they didn't
playoffs.
sign him.
If he in his first playoff game is terrible,
Right.
and reverts to the Lions game last year, well, then all of a sudden you can then talk to me about, man, maybe Darnold just doesn't have that it factor to win when in the big moments in postseason.
Well,
I'm not ready to say
KLC has staked his claim to this kid right now, and I think they got to ride it out. And I don't know how many games. You put a number on it next year to see what he can do, because we say it time and time again, what really killed J.J. McCarthy was last year not being able to practice at all. He missed all last year, not just from a game standpoint. He wasn't even allowed to practice. So he came in, and that's where I think the management and the head coach misjudged what they had in J.J. McCarthy to start him in game one. He just clearly wasn't ready. And he had that fourth quarter rally against the Bears, but missing all of last year, I think they miscalculated his readiness for the National Football League because he missed all of last year. Not from a playing standpoint, but from a practicing standpoint, and you just can't duplicate those reps going out there for the first game.
So yesterday, the montage was Sad Eyes.
Yes.
And that's what we play at the end of every Minnesota season when the season's over. Last game has gone by.
Right.
So I asked if Tennessee had ever played Sad Eyes before a season was completely over. And then I listed all the teams. We've played them for the Gophers, for the Twins, the Wolves, the Wild, the Frost. Then an emailer corrected me and says, we've never played Sad Eyes for the Frost.
Really?
Because the Frost have never...
all they do is win.
They've won both world championships. So I have to apologize to the Frost, to Tennessee, and all listeners. Of course, we haven't played Sad Eyes for the Frost because there's been no reason to. All they do is win world championships.
Right.
I saw a note from their commissioner recently because they just expanded to 2 teams, right? Seattle and Vancouver. That they want to get to 12 teams. It sounds like they want to do it quickly. So get to know your Frost, and you might be losing half those players.
Well, they already have lost a couple
years.
Yeah.
Well, they lost a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's too bad. You want to keep them together.
Lost all their defenders.
Yeah, money talks. You want to keep expanding, but it's good for the success of the league.
How many points do you think the Vikings will score 20 points against the Commanders on Sunday?
Yes.
Sail.
I'm going to sail that.
That was the best. Did you get the joke about the sink or sail? Because the question was, will the Vikings score 20 or more points? He said sail.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going for it.
Ron and
Ahmad
said no.
Yeah.
And of course, it was 0 points. So I cheaped out and said, were you thinking 2 or 3?
They also asked if Justin Jefferson was going to score a touchdown. I've been saying that as kind of a yes every single week until he does.
Oh, we might not have enough time to dive too deep into this. I've received a couple of emails from people that think, just the Justin Jefferson reaction, sitting away from the team with a towel. I'm not upset about that, quite frankly. I mean, the guy's really been good about it, and it just kind of, after a while, it kind of just got...
how many times?
It wasn't like he was screaming at players and throwing helmets. He just wanted to sit by himself and kind of contemplate
how many times I used to go to the Viking locker room, and Randy Moss, we'd be waiting for Randy Moss to get to his locker, and he'd get there and he'd go, get out of my locker.
Yeah.
And nobody would say a thing about it.
You want them to be mad.
Absolutely.
You don't want them to be happy about what
No, the idea that he wants out or something, he's going to be here next year. Don't worry. He's under contract.
Thanks for coming out, Tennessee. Thanks for having me.
Great job.
You as well. We thank everybody for dropping off toys. Please come back to Shields. If you haven't dropped off a toy yet, please come and do it. Toys for Tots brought to you by Shields, the Minnesota Vikings, Unreal, and the United States Marine Corps, and all of us here at the Fan. Big Ticket and JG are next here on the Fan.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.